Good afternoon. We are live in beautiful Miramichi, New Brunswick on the set, the Rogers Studio. I'm Judy Loche, your host for today's show. For Have a Chat, joined by my beautiful, lovely Veronique Arsenault.
Hi, Judy. So glad, of course, that we're here together on Monday, and the weeks just fly by. Here we are Monday again.
I said that on the way up to my mom. We were just making a quick call from my car and phone, and I said, it's just Monday and then Monday again.
Yeah, I know.
But I get to see you every one, so that's beautiful. And our viewers do love that we start the week each week with a quote. So let's have it.
This one's a little funny.
It's funny. I thought like you were going to give me something funny because I said sometimes we're really serious.
Yeah,
okay.
No, this one's a little funny, and I needed a little bit of what we're going to talk about today.
Okay.
So it's Zig Ziglar. It's a quote by Zig Ziglar, and it says, "People often say that motivation doesn't last. Well, neither does bathing. That's why we recommend it daily."
It's true.
I know.
Imagine if we put that off. I'd be sitting this far apart from you, and then some.
Social distancing would take on a much bigger meaning.
Okay. Now, I love it. I love the lightness to it. Motivation is something that I think I have mostly.
Yes.
You know, for the larger part that I'm a motivated person. I think the thing that I love to hear, the three words that I love to hear mostly are "you have inspired me," or four words.
Absolutely.
Okay, or "you inspire me" in three.
Yep.
Which allows me then to ask the question back, how is that? Like if someone says, "You inspire me," why? How? And then that gives me the incentive to go on doing what I'm able to do. So whether it's being there to listen, or maybe public speaking, or whatever I may do, then I know that I must be doing it well enough that that person is learning from me and I'm mentoring them in that respect.
Absolutely. And I mean, I get such a rush from that as well. And we've talked about that in our volunteering, that for me, that's motivation, right? Yeah. I get tired, of course, just like everybody else, but I love to be part of something. But it's funny, this morning, so the last little bit, I've been working out all year. I've been walking. I've been eating healthy, and the last little bit has been a little bit tougher for me. I'll be honest.
Okay.
So I haven't been as eager to eat the foods that I should be eating that make me feel better. I haven't been as eager to get up and get on the treadmill. Okay. Now, I will say this. I have 95% of the time still gotten on the treadmill every morning.
Good.
To get moving. But lately, I've been needing a little bit more motivation.
Right.
Because I keep trying to remind myself of how great I feel.
That's it.
When I eat better.
That's right.
And when I get my walk in the morning.
Yes.
So this morning I got up. I've been drinking my water since I got up this morning. I got up and did my walk on the treadmill. I had a great breakfast, had a great lunch before I came. So that's where my motivation came in, but I have to keep talking myself into it.
Oh, I know. And we have to set goals that are realistic and not just say, oh, I'm going to do this in a week.
Right.
Whether it's a whole new regime, it's step by step. Taking something out of your diet that you normally would say is like I cheat, I eat really well, but then if I want something special, I'll eat it, and that's good. Yep. But if I do it repetitively, like you said, you feel like crap. So it's to slowly take things out and get back on track. Slowly is the key.
Exactly.
And telling yourself, making, like Jason Cyrus, I'm just going to put his name right out there, is phenomenal. Yeah. And he motivates me. He wakes up every day with the attitude, I'm going to make this day the best possible day, and Absolutely. He is contagious in his vibrancy.
No question.
Love him.
And it's funny that you mentioned Jason, because Jason is actually one of those tools that I used this year to keep myself going. Okay. I went to him for hypnotherapy.
Right.
To help me keep that motivation in my head to get up and be moving every day, because I sit all day long in meetings, right? And it's not healthy for you to be doing that. And to cut myself some slack and those days when I do have the chips or the chocolate or whatever it may be, that's okay.
Yes.
That's okay.
Of course.
Tomorrow's another day and it's okay.
That's right.
But Jason is one of those tools that I've used as a continued motivation, and hypnotherapy was one of those things that I utilized.
So a big shout out to Jason Cyrus, a friend of ours and a friend of our show.
Absolutely.
Veronique, we had a very special family occasion this past Tuesday, so last Tuesday, the 18th. And it was to have the geriatric clinic that my husband, Dr. Gerard, and myself funded through our foundation, the Dr. Gerard and Judy Loge Foundation. That's a brand new geriatric clinic, which has been in there for a while, but just was officially open last week.
Yes.
Now, we know that we're a largely aged population.
Yep.
It is a state-of-the-art facility that is right in the hospital where the extramural area used to be set in. It's huge. It's up to date. It's amazing. And I was so honored to be there because of the naming, which we chose to be Gerard's late mother, the Marjorie E. Loge Geriatric Clinic.
Yeah.
And there is her picture, and there is the legacy that she has left by being such an amazing person, and whose death ended because she was in the last stages of Alzheimer's.
Absolutely.
So what was your feeling about the whole event?
It was so emotional for me. You know, Alzheimer's is one of those diseases that absolutely affects the person that has it, but so impacts the family around them, right? And that's the really tough part. And it is very prevalent in our family. So my great-grandparents had dementia, and my grandmother did die from pneumonia, but secondary to advanced Alzheimer's. So it was a truly emotional day for me. I got to speak on behalf of the family, which was an incredible honor.
And you did it so beautifully, Veronique.
Thank you. It was, you know, I had talked to Gerard, of course, before then about, you know, what to say on behalf of the family and what to share, because we, you know, it was a big deal for us, and talked about that journey through Alzheimer's for Grandma, and it was a long one. You know, Grandma started showing signs in the late 80s. I lived with her when I was 17. Can you imagine? 69 years old with a 17-year-old.
Yes.
In grade 12 I was at that time. And she was starting to show signs at that time. So right at the end of the 80s and into the early 90s. And we all navigated that as a family, right? And that paranoia came, and it robbed us of who she was. Although in the end, I will say, she still laughed at my jokes. We all knew that she loved us.
She maintained her dignity.
Absolutely. And she was an incredible woman.
We ensured that she did have her dignity because, you know, if I was in that mental state of declining health, I would hope that you would brush my hair, that you would do my nails, that you would make me smell good, and you would dress me up nicely, and you would take time to read to me and just spend time with me. So that's all we're all going to age. We don't know how or if Alzheimer's may affect any one of us. But it is something that was very, very special that day. And when I walk through that hallway now and see that geriatric clinic in place in her name, I'm so humbled.
Well, and it was, you know, the premier was there, which was wonderful, and my beautiful mother got to cut the ribbon with the premier, and I you know, doubt that he'll ever see this, but I just thank him so much for his kindness to her that day, and you know, he was had her so engaged, and it was wonderful to see. So it's a memory that I will treasure forever. But just the day itself was phenomenal to share with family, and you know, to honor also what you and Gerard have done for the community. And as you said, the clinic has been there for a while, but it was also used as kind of a COVID runoff, I think, for a little bit. But now it's there and absolutely ready for patients and families to get the support that they need.
Absolutely. So that was a big, big day for us. And then it was a heavy week for me because my cousin, my first cousin, who was a double cousin, because actually two brothers married two sisters. My mom and her sister married so my dad's brother married my mom's sister. Right. And so I have double first cousins, and we lost one within a week to a very rapid illness, and it blew us all away. It broke all of our hearts. It was devastation. And then I was asked to do the eulogy. So I cried for the better part of a week, and I was extremely emotional, and it was really, really tough. And then when they asked me to do the eulogy, I thought, can I even do this? You're writing it, you're crying, the memories are all flooding back, that he was in my life, you know, for 57 years he was, a big part of my family. But what I'm going to say is, if you're ever asked to do a eulogy and you don't think you can, you can. Yeah. It is a huge undertaking emotionally, but you get all your emotions out as much as possible so that on that day you do that person honor, and that you don't have regrets saying, oh, I wish I had have done it, because there was so much I could have said about him and so many things I could have captured about him and left with the family in a comforting way. So it is a job. And when I do a eulogy, which I think I'm a professional eulogist now, by the way, I think I've been appointed one. I am booked. for a few.
Yeah.
I took it upon me to do the most wonderful job of capturing Gary and bringing comfort to the family. And I felt so good that I did it. And as soon as I did it, I cried again.
Yeah.
Because you're holding it all in.
Yeah, and I also have done eulogies for those that I love, and I've read at funerals and weddings and all that. And everyone that I've spoken to, and it's funny to say in an odd way, everybody that I've spoken to said you did such a beautiful job.
And you have, and I've listened.
But you.
Oh,
you
me.
did.
Oh.
You did. Everybody that I've spoken to, like since the funeral last week, has commented on what a beautiful job you did capturing his life and remembering him, and that's really tough to do
in a short space.
Yeah, it is, and you know, and all of your emotion is wrapped up into those few moments, and you're trying to sum up someone's life.
And the whole family is sitting there who you absolutely adore and who adored them, and they're just wanting you so much to bring them words that will make them feel that you're honoring their person that they loved, and that you're going to leave them with something to hold on to. And I hope and I think I did that.
Absolutely. And I have no doubt that you did that, because everybody that I've spoken to said you absolutely did.
Thank you, Veronique. Now, we got to do something after that I really needed, and that was to have a little bit of joy. So you go from sorrow to joy, your highs, your lows. We've talked about this, and I had surprised you with something for your birthday, and so you want to maybe share with our viewers what we did for your birthday as a gift to you.
We had the most amazing road trip on Saturday. So of course we had a very busy time leading up to that, and on Saturday afternoon, you and I took off to Moncton.
Yep.
And stayed at Chateau Jansen.
Yeah, your
son's apartment.
Yeah.
And we went to see Michael Bublé. And it was the most amazing show.
Well, he's just amazing.
He is.
As a person,
he is
so extremely funny.
Yes.
So he presented in a comedic way his whole show.
Yeah.
Like he was so funny. And his movement, I've been to shows where, you know, the performers' vocals are outstanding, but they just sort of stand there and they don't move a lot.
Yeah.
And in this way, he was just performing the whole time, and his voice is incredible.
It was outstanding, and he had a full orchestra with him, which was phenomenal. They were all Canadian musicians. And actually, he said that his whole crew was Canadian, which was wonderful to see. He said he had 130.
Yes.
And he was funny, he was engaging, he was entertaining, he was, you know, he had moments of real deep and touching, you know, words that he did. And he was so off the cuff, and he interacted with the audience. And you know, I have liked his music, but never really imagined that, you know, I always wanted to go see one of his shows, but it wasn't like a rabid fan where I, you know, had to purchase every album that came out. But I've always enjoyed his music and love watching videos of him, because he's really funny. Yeah. And I would absolutely go see him in another show tomorrow.
Yeah, I've seen him in Toronto, and that's why I thought I have to see him again.
Yes.
And he's not bad looking.
Not at all. He was lovely to watch.
Very, very handsome.
And we had phenomenal seats, so we were like, we could see him up close, like actually see him.
Know.
And the sound in the Avenir Center was amazing.
Yes,
and
it
just moved. I never stopped moving in my seat the whole time. And he performed for 2 hours straight.
Yes, he did. All he had was a little towel to wipe himself off and a drink of water, you know, at interval, but not often. He just blew us away, really.
Yeah, I loved it.
And he's a proud Canadian.
Absolutely.
You know, I mean, sometimes people have their roots and then they go on, they move on around the world, or they stay in Canada but kind of forget their roots. But he is so true to his own.
Absolutely.
And he said, I am your people. Yeah. Like, you know, I'm representing you out there, and thank you. And he gives gratitude, which is really, really nice. Yeah. Just really quickly, speaking of music, I guess you know now that the frontman for Headley, who was a band that I really enjoyed, Jacob Hogard, was sentenced to 5 years in prison for sexual assault, actually raping a 16-year-old in 2016. Yeah. And deservedly so that he got that time.
Absolutely.
You know, he had no criminal record, so there's this, that, and everything. You know, his team is saying, you know, give him another chance. He's not at risk. But so he's now out on bail. Wow. But that girl, according to her lawyer, said that she will never be the same woman. that it was very, very bad. And the fact that he's 38 years old and it came out in court that he's been with 200 women. I mean, does he have a battery cable into his libido full time, or
It's
so he does have a problem.
Yeah, obviously, and I'm glad that he was sentenced. I mean, it was a trial, and so he was able to present his evidence, and they didn't obviously feel that was valid. So really glad that he's been sentenced, and really glad that he's going to face consequences for what he did.
But because of the appeal from
Right.
his team, who knows what will come out of it.
True enough.
But I'm just disgusted that people that are that talented and doing that well in life would throw it all away for something so horrible.
Absolutely, but you never know. You never know what's in people's heads, right? So it's incredible, and I'm just so very sorry for the victim
Me
of
too.
his crime.
And his band members too.
Yeah.
They were doing so well and booked for this and that and doing high and big salaries and playing around the world, and then all of a sudden, because of his gross act and probably previous ones, I'm not going to say that happened, but probably, it's the end of his story for now.
Absolutely, yeah, and I hope that I hope that they hold up that verdict.
Vera, before we go to break, can you just touch on which would you prefer to touch on? There were two other events that you attended, the Amazing Race, or would you like to just kind of encapsulate that briefly and then talk about the Ukrainian benefit, or which would you like to spend the last couple of minutes on?
Well, absolutely. It was a huge weekend in Miramichi, as it always is. So the Amazing Race happened on Saturday, right in the downtown business improvement area, so in the Newcastle Business District, and huge shout out to both our business districts for all the work that they're doing. But great crowd, and then yesterday was the Ukrainian Day. We raised the flag, and another fundraiser for the people that are moving here from Ukraine as they flee the war. So just so much going on in the city. It just never ends, really. But great to see everybody come out for it.
Yeah.
I was pancake flipping on Saturday.
Yes, you were. You're always volunteering.
Yeah, well, I love it, and it was one of those really busy weekends. But it's going to slow down a little bit in November, so that's good.
The Ukrainian people that have moved here must just feel so embraced and seeing that we're pitching in and trying to make their life here as happy and as settled as possible is huge.
Well,
if I was moving to another country, I would hopefully want my family to have that reception because it's so all new.
Absolutely, and fleeing war, and it was really quite moving to see the flag raised, but then to have the Ukrainian national anthem sung and then the Canadian national anthem sung, and all just happened in the park very naturally and organically with a beautiful group of people, and then the fundraiser led by Susan Butler on the weekend.
And now we have to go to break, but we can talk more about it another time.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, don't go far. Join Veronique and I very soon again for more Have a Chat. Grab a coffee or a snack. Hello and welcome back to our show, Have a Chat. I'm your host for today's episode, Judy Loge, joined by my beautiful co-host, Veronique Arsenault.
Hello, Judy.
And I am so thrilled to say that we are now, today, marking the anniversary of this show's upstart 8 years ago.
I know, hard to believe, eh?
8 years ago. And people are still tuning into us, so
I
that's
know.
good.
I know.
And
we kicked off our 9th year.
We love all of our guests, and we love being with Rogers, and we love being live in our beautiful studio here in Miramichi. And we love having guests such as John Fletcher. Welcome to our set, John.
Thanks for having me, ladies. It's great to be here.
Well, you're getting really, really popular. You had been, but now this Fletcher's Farm that you're here to talk about, which you and your wife established, I'm sure along with your children over the years, is hot. It's hot topic right now.
Especially the last week or so.
I know. We're going to get into all of that and tell the viewers exactly what Fletcher's Farm is and what's happening. But first of all, John, tell us a little bit about yourself personally, your family.
Sure, yeah. So I'm from here, born and raised. Little Barty Bogue, just a little bit north of Miramichi.
Nice.
I'm by trade a counseling therapist, farmer on the side, father of 4, husband to 1, and just a pretty passionate, really proud Miramichier and New Brunswicker, I guess, would kind of encapsulate it all.
Wow, you've got a busy life then.
I know.
Farming and counseling, and then being a dad's a full-time job, and 4, you said.
Yep.
I don't know how you do it all, to be honest.
People have asked me that before, and I think I've been gifted with a very hyper mind, and
Me too.
I've learned to channel that energy towards all these things. And
Yeah.
and once I've learned that, it kind of helps me thrive and flourish. So.
And I work by deadline, right? So
Yeah.
I'm involved in a lot, but each have their own deadlines. And
Yeah.
very rarely do they all collide, although they did last week,
Yeah.
but very rarely do they all collide. And that's why I'm always fixated on those deadlines.
Yep.
Yeah, but
Well,
motivated gets it done. We were talking about that earlier.
You guys talked about motivation, yeah.
Yeah.
Good for you, John. Exciting stuff.
I know. Now, let's talk about the corn maze. I love it,
Yeah.
but you and your wife, Natalie, who amazing partner for you,
Yeah.
absolutely also is involved in all of those things that you are.
Absolutely, yeah. She's really the behind the scenes opera. She's right now running school trips all day and building Halloween scenes, and she's the behind the scenes, does a lot of the stuff. She'd be here otherwise
Yeah.
if she wasn't. Yeah.
Of course. So let's talk about the corn maze. How did you come up with the idea that you wanted to do a corn maze?
I get that question asked a lot as well. I grew up on a hobby farm beside a big dairy farm, and our neighbors would at times plant cornfields probably 50 feet away from my bedroom window. And so that probably had an impression. And then somewhere about 10 or 15 years ago, I saw a corn maze. And I was like, oh, this is cool. It's like more of an amusement, kind of fun farm idea. And the seed was planted kind of metaphorically. And then we had moved home 6 years ago from Alberta, bought a house that backs up on family land in Nelson. And then I was like, oh, this corn maze idea. So I spent about a year and a half looking into it quite heavily, researching.
Gee.
And then saw that, hey, there's none here. There is some in New Brunswick, and it would be a cool tourism attraction to bring to Miramichi. So that now we're 5 years later.
Yeah.
Popular.
Oh,
Yes.
So you do themes, and how would you decide? Like you change it up. So
Yep.
how do you decide, and what's the planning process for the theme changing every year?
Yeah, so with lots of different corn mazes do different things for the themes. Being proud Miramichiers, being proud New Brunswickers, we want to highlight a local or regional, either a tourism attraction or a historic site. So like this year we highlighted the Village Historic Acadienne, and then also the Acadian culture with that. We cut the design into the field. Last year was Beaubears Island, and we're just so proud of the region. And then it's educational, so you work your way through the maze learning about all of the this year's theme, right? So it has the educational component, and it just highlights some awesome things happening here in New Brunswick.
Creative, but some planning involved there too. Like
Yeah.
trying to think what would be appropriate. How can you honor, like you said, your roots and this area? And
Absolutely.
so I'm impressed. That's incredible.
It's pretty technical though. How because technology feeds into farming, which we don't
Yep.
we don't think of that piece though. Although we had Schenkel's Farm on,
We
right,
did
to
have
talk
John
about
on Schenkel's, yeah.
about how that all feeds in. But and I only because I know how this all happens. But talk to us about how you design it and then go about building it, because it actually is quite technical.
It is, yeah. A lot of people we get that question a lot too. Is do we plant the design? Do we plant it and then cut it in? And so we basically plant our whole field. We have a maze designer in the States who's been doing this for 20 plus years. We build our maze design in the early, parts of January, February, March. Once we get the design figured out, they have it coordinated to our field dimensions. Then we plant our entire field. Then our friend from Salisbury comes up and he cuts the maze. It's all GPS coordinated. Takes about 2 or 3 hours, and he cuts the design in when the corn's about knee high. Okay. And then it grows into a living piece of artwork. Yeah.
Isn't it amazing?
Well, I think you're amazing. I think it's just, it is something that I would.
I want to be a corn designer.
I'm allergic to hay. Severely.
That's not good.
No.
So that might not be good on the farm.
So that's what I mean. So I couldn't even be part of it or it just makes me sad because it's really, really something exciting.
Yeah.
And you also, this being the spooky season,
Yeah.
you have a haunted maze and you run that on weekends. So John, tell us all about that.
Yeah, so that's kind of its own beast. We have the regular corn maze throughout
Yep.
the season from September 1st onward. Then now we're into Halloween haunt. We had our first 2 this past weekend. Supposed to the weekend before, but it rained out. This year we've been building it and growing it and really getting our name out there. And we have 33 actors in there. We have 11 different zones. We have
I know.
bus. We have 2 shipping containers this year that have doors on each end that we have different themes in. So it's quite an attraction. We were a bit taken off guard this weekend. People from all around the province are now coming. From
Yeah.
St. John, Grand Falls, Fredericton, Moncton. So we have the nighttime one, which is pretty high level, and then the daytime 12 to 4 on the weekends. We have no actors, but the kids can go through and see the stuff. Very little kid friendly. A lot of people come out to that that don't maybe not want the scary stuff, and then good for the little ones too.
So 12 to 4 on weekends, and then what time's the evening one start, the haunted tour?
That 7 to 9 p.m. Our
7
last
to
one's
9.
coming up this Saturday.
A lot of work for your family. A lot of work. You have to be on standby, and you're also like on control of all the people's coming in from everywhere, like you said.
There's a ton of moving pieces. We have about 40 plus people we're managing those nights between our event staff, our regular staff, and the actors. Probably 45 people or so.
That's a beautiful enterprise. That's
I have heard it's quite terrifying
Oh,
this
wow.
year. I am a huge chicken in general. Judy loves watching like those scary movies.
I love the Dahmer on Netflix, and she said she'd rather be shot than watch it.
Yeah,
So
absolutely. So I have heard it's quite terrifying, but spectacular.
Yep.
But I'll be heading out this weekend because every year Mom and I go to the corn maze because it is. Although she has some mobility issues, it actually is very friendly for her to be able to walk through there. So yeah, we've done it every year since you started. So I'm really looking forward to it. We're heading out this weekend, and it's supposed to be nice this
you
weekend.
won't do the scary part.
Not on your life, no.
Veronique, I'll hold your hand and I'll put my mask on because I'm allergic to hay, and I'll put a big mask on my head.
No, absolutely not. But Mom and I, we navigate. We read each one of the stations that we find. So it's a real educational component for us, and we love it. And then we go see the little animals because you have little animals as well. Yeah. And then there's usually a snack involved because everything involves snacks.
Is there a cost to going in through the tours?
Oh yes, yeah.
I was going to say
there's a lot of expenses
because look at what you've done.
Yeah, it's $12 for kids from 3 to 17, and then 14 for adults. But that includes your 2 mazes, Sunflower Field in September, wagon rides, pedal carts, fun park. Like it's kind of like a little amusement park, right?
There's slides and stuff, And
I mean, people are desperately looking for something now that COVID restrictions have lifted considerably, for something fun to do as a family. They're saying, what can we do around here? Well, that's what you can do.
Absolutely.
And it's not going to break your bank account.
No, and it's so easy
fun.
to find too. Like it's really easy to get there, and you can. And again, Mom's got some mobility issues, right? She's not too steady on her feet, and we can navigate it. So it's friendly, like it's family friendly in general. But I want to take a little sidestep for a second and talk about a passion that we all have, absolutely. But it's something that you and I have been working on for the last little while with the city and with what you do as a regular job. But let's talk about mental health for a minute. And mental health literacy, more specifically, is what we're working on. But let's talk about that in the community setting and why that's so critical to you, and it's a passion for you and for us as well.
Yeah, well, you nailed it with the mental health literacy and the community piece. And as part of my role at the school district, and just a passion of mine personally, is we're seeing we're doing a lot of great stuff in the schools with the curriculum development and rollout. Obviously, still lots of work to be done in that domain. But we've always noticed there's a gap between where the edge of the school finishes and where the community begins, and how do we kind of bridge those two domains? And that's where that community mental health literacy and the partnership we have now with the city of Miramichi and the study that we're being part of to try to really develop mental health literacy, right? Being literate in the field of mental health, because as a society, we're really not, because it's a newer field. We don't know a whole lot about it, and when we're not literate, then we don't know where to go to. We don't know how to ask the questions. No. We more people are suffering in silence. So literacy is a piece in the puzzle, not the entire puzzle. But if we can get a more literate population, then hopefully we're getting people help earlier, faster, in the right domains, right? So that's an area that I'm passionate about, and I know you are as well, in that we're trying to move the needle a little bit in that direction.
Yeah. What have you seen? I talk to a lot of people of all ages, and you work in the school system, correct? So have you seen a lot of kids, way more youth coming to you that have gone through a lot mentally during the COVID period? I mean, they go through enough generally, any teenager or any child on any given day, with schoolwork and maybe home dysfunction or just pressure from their sports or whatever. But when they're socially, everything's changed for them for a period of 2 years plus, and the school system has been so erratic as far as online and then no school. And so, John, talk to us a little bit about that and how you found it beneficial in your position to help these people.
Yeah, so in this role, I actually don't work with kids one-on-one. I am a therapist outside privately. So this role is much more on the prevention end. However, this question has been brought up a lot, and from what we're seeing from the research, and they said this right when when the pandemic started, and we've seen this throughout, the kids who were struggling before the pandemic with depression, with anxiety, or a mental health problem of some sort, they're the ones that we're seeing more suffering because, especially early on, maybe you couldn't go to see your therapist anymore. Maybe you weren't going to school to see that teacher or that counselor. The average kids who are doing quite well pre-COVID, we're seeing they're doing quite well during and after. Okay. It's the ones who were struggling before, and I think we saw that from a societal perspective too. The marginalized, we saw in the pandemic, things became a lot harder, right? Because the restrictions were harder on them than a lot of other people. So we're still not out of it, and research is always 2 or 3 years behind, so we're kind of in it. But so far, that's what I'm seeing, and at least I'm reading and talking to other colleagues in the field.
Well, you're an expert in your field, so for our viewers that are watching us right now and will be tuned in, at different times all week, what are some of the tips you would give those people listening as to how to cope with their, what they're going through right now, still unable to do what they want to do or socialize, or that they're still in that mental space that's not so good? Do you have any coping tips for people that are struggling?
Yeah, absolutely. I kind of have some basic things that I think everyone needs to really dial in. Social connectedness is big. We're a social species. We're not meant to be alone and isolated. This has been happening well before COVID came along. That's just kind of been gas on the fire, I think. We need to reconnect. We need to keep moving. Physical health is mental health. It's all connected. Connecting with nature, making sure our sleep is really dialed in.
Maybe we could do an entire show on that.
Absolutely.
It really truly is, isn't it? Your sleep affects so much. Absolutely. And last night I did sleep for the first time in probably a week, but I don't normally. Yep. And then when you don't normally sleep, everything suffers. Exactly.
Yeah.
So some of those, I'm a firm believer in, sometimes we overcomplicate stuff. We make things too complex. It's part of being human. I think we need to do the simple things really, really well. It's not going to cure everything, but it will give us a really good foundation of mental health, being connected, getting outside, make sure we're sleeping well, eating well, those basic things that I think we get tired, we get stressed out, and we throw them out the window. We have to keep them top of mind, and we need to be motivated, like you guys talked about earlier. Motivation's, dopamine's the key chemical for that. We need to keep that pumping so that we can work on that stuff.
So you do all that yourself? Like, you balance your life so that you do get enough sleep, which allows you to do all the many, many things that you've been talking about doing in your maze and your work and raising a family and farming and all that. So you just make it your focus to write down.
I try to.
Yeah?
I try. It's not perfect.
It's working.
But
it's helping.
It's about balance, right? If you find that balance, you can really, I always say, we're on the pathway to try to thrive and flourish. What do we need to do to get there? We need to balance our lives.
I think everybody needs a therapist. I really do. No, I'm serious.
Absolutely.
Like, even if you're doing okay in life, I still think you could benefit from people like John, who has, serious, tools to work with and background.
I firmly agree, because I have always said and have encouraged everyone that I know to go to therapy, because I have always said it is someone that is paid to listen to you for an hour and they can't tell anybody what you said. Right? And you get to talk about whatever it is that you need to talk about. True. But anyway, the great thing is, last word on mental health is that, John and the city are now partnering, or about to be part of a study with the University of Alberta, which is really exciting, about mental health literacy and the community. So really looking forward to what that's going to bring. But we want to make sure that we close off a little bit more about the maze.
Yes. Like, we want to know, people that are listening want to take part in this upcoming event, and they want to know exactly where to get tickets and where, again, you're located, so that they can get directions and be there on time and walk through it.
So location, we'll start with that. 99 Rash Street. If anybody, a lot of people remember, know where the Gerald King softball field is. That's the parking. Our family land is adjacent to that, so you'd park at the Gerald King, and then you would come on site. Tickets, we are in the process right now. So the last 2 weekends we've had this past weekend was our biggest weekend ever for Halloween. Multiple reasons. It's our 5th year. We've advertised provincially. Our friends in Salisbury, they're not running their haunted corn maze this year because of the green pig that burnt down.
Right.
So we're getting overflow because of that.
Yeah.
With that, our wait times were very long, so we're in the process. We do have express tickets online, but currently it's you show up as long as you're there before 9 o'clock, you pay, you get in. we're in the process right now. We just tell people follow our website or Facebook.
Yeah.
We may be switching to online ticketing for this weekend. With the whole onus is we want our customers to have a good experience. And waiting 2+ hours, we're starting to kind of go, okay, we got to make some changes to make sure everybody, the wait's going to be long, but 2.5 hours plus, that's too long.
I know.
Right?
Yep.
So we're constantly trying to modify and tweak, but our website, FletchersFarm5.com, and our Facebook page, we're all constantly updating so that
It's
that's
FletchersFarm.com?
5, the number 5.
FletchersFarm5.com. We'll keep everyone updated on
All of our
this
information's
business.
on there. Yep.
It's exciting. So we're about to go to break. Any final words on anything for our viewers? John, any last words?
I would just say, the mental health piece, just, we got to be motivated and kind of do those things, chip away at them so that we're healthy.
Yeah.
And obviously, check us out on for the farm if they're interested in that. And
Perfect. You're good. Thanks for being a wonderful guest today. Veronique and
As
I have
always.
enjoyed every minute of the conversation, as I'm sure our viewers have. Don't go far because you're back for more Have a Chat very, very soon. Come on back. Hello and welcome back, everybody. If you're just joining us, here we are in our beautiful Rogers studio. And a big shout out to the Rogers team that put us on here every single week for our viewers around the province.
Yeah.
And it is our, like I said earlier, 8th year at this.
I know. We celebrate. Today was our 8th anniversary.
8th anniversary. Happy anniversary to us. Happy
nice.
anniversary, Rogers. And I'm Judy Logier, your host for today's show, joined by my beautiful co-host, Veronique.
Yes.
Always a pleasure
I
having
know. I'm
her
always so
company.
happy to be together.
And now we have a person that I love from childhood, a very close friend of mine and my sister Colleen.
Yes.
And she chose to leave us and
I
move
know.
away.
The nerve.
But this is
No.
Christine Murray, former Christine Cormier.
Yeah.
And Christine, for those of us that don't know you, the people out there, tell us a little bit about yourself personally.
Well, like you said, I am born Miramichier. I've lived in Miramichi for about 36 years, and then my husband's job took us away to Moncton.
Of course, yes.
So I always say Miramichi's home, Moncton's just where I live.
Oh, that's cute.
I totally get it. Yep.
So we've been in Moncton for about close to 15 years now. I'm married to a wonderful man. His name's Kenneth. He's a Miramichier as well. 26 years. We celebrate next month.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. And we have 2 amazing sons, Aiden and Alex, who are 17 and 19 now. So,
They
yeah.
keep you busy.
They do.
Yeah, I have no
They
doubt.
do. When they're little, it's busy.
Yeah.
And it's almost when they get a little bit older, they're even busier.
Yeah.
Because
True.
they're just into so much. So.
I know I have the same 2 boys that are men now.
I
Yeah.
know.
And we have, she's a Halloween enthusiast big time.
No kidding.
When we thought we were going to put her name up on the screen, it's like she could be one of many things because she's fantastic, but Halloween enthusiast is one of them.
Yes.
So what would you like to ask Christine?
Well, did you grow up loving Halloween, or did this come on later? Because it is quite fun. I've seen the pictures,
Yes.
and it's quite amazing what you've done. But this, is it a new thing, or was this always your thing?
I've always loved Halloween. I mean, that's been my number one occasion for my whole life. I've always loved it. When we were in Miramichi, we were living in Napan, which is a wonderful spot.
It is.
Yes.
But not a lot of trick-or-treaters, not a lot of traffic that
No.
way. So when we moved to Moncton, we're in an extremely popular area. We're on the north end, over closer to where the casino is. And anybody that goes to Moncton at all knows how much it's built up there.
Yes.
It's especially in that area.
Yes.
So when we moved there, we thought, this is going to be a great place to start decorating.
Yeah.
We really we've gotten into it even more and more now.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's
Okay, so
interesting.
she's been featured, and our viewers should know that I've watched you on 2 different television networks
Yes.
where you've been interviewed live and your home's been displayed, and it's just spooktacular.
Spooktacular.
Yeah, it's
Spooktacular.
spectacular because
Yeah.
it's very spooktacular.
Yes.
So, Christine, to follow up to Veronique's point, how did the process begin of accumulating your things and actually making it grow, like year by year, adding to the showcase that it is now?
Well, I mean, we've been decorating. This is our 12th year that we've been decorating.
Wow.
Yeah, so every year we obviously get more and more popular. It's taken a lot, you know. I mean, we shop online, we shop around. You know, Moncton has a lot of places to buy and that sort of thing. So yeah, we build our collection over the years. It's never the same every year. We change it up every year just to make it
Oh my goodness.
fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like, I mean, the inflatables, like they're popular. So we will retire some, put some new ones out. We have skeleton displays. They're silly little displays, and they're changed every year. Yep. We decorate our garage area every year in a different theme. So yeah, we change it up because, I mean, we have people come daily just to see. All through up to Halloween, we decorate the majority at the first of the month, and then throughout the month, every few days, we'll add a new piece in, and people will follow that. Like the kids will come, well, that wasn't there yesterday. Oh my goodness, well, that wasn't there. Yeah, so it's pretty nice. Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Providing so much fun.
I know it's really amazing, and I love these kinds of things because the hours that you spend that people have no idea. You know, thinking about it, pulling it all together, not only the money but just the time. But couple things. So you're in a contest.
We are.
Candy Depot, Moncton,
Candy
right?
Depot. Well, it's province-wide.
Okay.
So there are 3 locations in New Brunswick. There's one in Moncton, Fredericton, and St. John.
Okay.
So we were chosen one of the 4 finalists. We are the only Moncton home. So it's pretty exciting. Yeah, because for 12 years we've been decorating, and this is the first time that we've ever had, you know, an actual contest.
And you should be competing. I mean, anyone that puts that much work into it. I have a few things up and around. And it's not my bag. You come to my house and say, "Boo, Judy!" Like, get a move on. I used to when my kids were smaller, but like, I'm just excited you're doing it now, even though your kids are older. You're doing it for the community.
We do. Oh, we 100% do. I mean, we have a lot of fun with it, and we enjoy it, and you know, that sort of thing. But yeah, it's all about for the community for sure.
What can people? What can visitors expect though? Like, so you talked a little bit about the inflatables, but what can, like, you have some cool effects happening there. Talk to us about that.
Yeah, I mean, all last week, all this week up until Halloween. I mean, we run our fog machines. We have the Halloween spooky music playing. Depending on what the theme, like this year in our garage, we have a skeleton pool party.
Oh,
so
fun.
We added the bubble machine to that and that sort of thing.
Oh,
so
cute.
I mean,
A pool party.
Yeah, a pool party. Yeah.
That's so creative.
Yeah, so it's a lot of fun. So I mean, yeah, we add all those effects, and I mean, they all make a difference. We have a projection screen that shows different Halloween images in the yard and that sort of thing. So yeah, it's interactive a little bit too. So
okay, so you mentioned your husband and your kids are older now. They're 17 and 19.
Yes.
Do they get as involved, or do they have to be because you say, guys, I need your help, obviously. Do they get right into it like you do and sit down and plan with you, or are you the head girl of the house?
I'm kind of the queen of the Halloween in our house. Yeah. My husband and my mother-in-law love it. They help on Halloween night. We all get dressed up, obviously. Our boys they're involved every year. They help us decorate, help us set up. Yeah, the planning and deciding on what we're going to do with the themes of all the different skeleton scenes and that sort of thing is mostly me.
I figured that.
Yeah.
She's always been creative, and you know, you're a dancer, and you're just one of those artistic people.
Thank you.
You've always had a gift for that, Christine, but it's big. I mean, if people are going to see it, like they're going to have pictures of it on screen. You know, floating by, and I'm just totally blown away because that's like 12 years of doing this.
Yeah, this is our 12th year doing it. Yeah.
Did you expect it to turn into this?
No. Glad it did, but no. I mean, no. Every year, like I said, we just get more and more popular. You know, different. There's monster maps now that people will create to allow actually all Greater Moncton to be involved. Any homes that are decorated, so people can kind of drive to the different addresses and that sort of thing. So that's kind of a neat thing. No, we never ever expected to get this big, and like I said earlier, because of where we live in North End, it's building up so much more. And there's so many more families moving in and that sort of thing. And we're in an area that there's a lot of young families as well. So yeah, like the amount of people in the population, it's getting bigger and bigger and bigger every year. Like we get thousands over the whole month coming to see our displays.
incredible.
Yeah.
Wow, but very respectful around your home. I mean, when you have that much traffic, they're all pretty well behaved. You don't have vandalism as such, or people trying to take things, or have you experienced some of that?
We never ever have.
Beautiful.
Knock on wood.
Beautiful.
Never. I mean, I think it's because people enjoy it so much.
Yeah.
And we've always said if there was any vandalism, any theft, anything like that, we probably would stop because it would take the fun away from it.
That's right.
But we've been really, really blessed. And it's phenomenal. I mean, we get so much positive feedback. I think people enjoy it so much that they don't even think of, doing anything.
It's called respect.
It is.
Respect
Yeah.
for all you're giving back.
Yeah, I think so. I really think so. And I mean, we're really, really blessed. So
Nice.
So far, so good.
How many trick-or-treaters do you get?
Yes.
Well,
Like we live in a really populated area as
Right.
well, and she gets. I'm 2 streets over.
Oh.
She gets more than I do,
Right.
but we get a lot.
I get about 300.
About 300.
250 for sure.
Right.
Upward to 300.
well, the last 2 years during COVID, like during the pandemic, we were certainly expecting like lower numbers,
Yeah.
which I think we did get lower numbers. We got anywhere between 500 and 600 kids. This year, I'm certainly expecting more.
Yeah.
But yeah, we prepare. I have lineups at my door all night long. And the kids are so wonderful. Like they come to the door and they're so excited and their heads are just on a constant pivot and looking
Yeah.
at everything. And it's
Yeah.
so sweet.
Yeah.
I mean, I could probably get away with not giving a lot of candy because some kids will come to the door and they're so excited and looking around that they walk away without their treat.
Right, yeah, exactly. Because it's a treat.
Right. You're running out, so you reach in and
Yeah.
you pretend you're putting something in the bag while you're distracting them and saying, "Don't you look great?" And you put in air. You drop air in.
Oh my goodness, the first couple of years, because we really didn't know what to expect, and my children, thank goodness, were smaller.
Yeah.
So when they came home trick-or-treating, if we ran out, my goodness, we had to rob their
Yes.
bags.
Yes.
I've
yes.
done it. I've
My
done it.
cupboards, like, granola bars, raisins,
And some are
juice boxes,
Yeah.
whatever. Because, I mean, our house, we couldn't shut the lights off. I mean,
Yeah.
of all
Eggs are good.
homes.
Eggs are good.
my goodness.
Just a few eggs.
Here's a boiled egg. Happy Halloween.
That might be where the vandalism might
Yeah,
start,
that's
though.
sure.
We were
I'm
even
sure.
there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. What a huge undertaking of storage you must have. Like the purchasing of everything is one thing, and where to store it up until you're ready to display it, and then the putting away. Christine, what does that entail for space?
The nice thing about the inflatables is they take up a lot of space in the yard,
Yeah.
but they compact quite small.
Right.
That's probably one of the number one questions that we get asked from people is, where do you store everything?
Really, though?
The nice thing is the gravestones and the fences and things like that. We can store them like maybe underneath our deck and that sort of thing. The more weathered they are, the better, right? It's more spooky and that sort of thing. So that works out really well. But yeah, we used to decorate a lot for Christmas too, and my husband said, pick one.
Yes.
Like, pick one because we don't really have the storage for.
I'm not doing this again.
Yeah, so we do. We do Halloween.
Yeah.
But yeah, it takes quite a bit of storage and that sort of thing. It's kind of funny though. Just the other day, one of our neighbors had said to me, she said, "You know what? And she brings her little boy. They bring their little boy over every single day, sometimes several days. He's only 2, and he's so amazed by it. And it's funny. She said to me, she said, "You know what? We're always so impressed with your decorations, but what impresses me the most is how quick you get it down.
Good.
Like it's within a day, it's down.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, it takes us a long time to set up, but it's down quickly.
That is good.
Yeah,
That's amazing.
We're getting we're getting better at it every year.
Yeah.
So yeah,
It's to get that little path in too, because you have steady traffic and parents along with the kids coming. So you have to have a little maze yourself, as John does, sort of, to get to your front door. Is
We
the
do.
lineup huge? So you start giving out at about 2, your curfew runs until 8, as ours does?
ours is usually 9.
9?
Yeah, it's usually
Oh.
9. Yep. And we leave our decorations up until usually around 10, because we'll still always get people coming and looking and that sort of thing. But yeah, we do. A couple of years ago, we decided, because on the sidewalk, especially a lot of the little ones had a harder time seeing within the yard. So we decided to put a path coming through our yard up to our door.
Right.
So then that way they can walk up through and they can see the decorations a little bit better and that sort of thing. It really proved well during the pandemic because it was a much steadier flow.
Yeah.
So they came up the path, went out our driveway sort of thing. So it
No big
worked out.
block up.
Right. So
No.
yeah, it's like a house party. It's like a street party. It
sure is.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
It's
Gee.
amazing.
A lot of fun.
Do you make any of the decorations yourselves?
Oh no.
No. That's a big no.
No. I mean, my creativity, if anything, goes into all our little
Designing
different,
it.
yeah,
Yeah.
all our different little displays and that sort of thing. But no, I probably could. And because of the weather and that sort of thing, I mean, homemade decorations wouldn't fly so well,
Right.
Like
Yeah.
with the rain and the winds and things that we can potentially get.
Absolutely.
So
I was just going to say in the last couple of minutes, you might have a final thought, but mine was with inflation. You know, the cost of everything is so crazy. I know that I've spent a lot of money, which, and I don't begrudge it, it's once a year, on treats.
Yeah.
The price to get all my stuff was like, oh my gosh, it can't be for just this. And I kept adding to it because of our numbers. I'm thinking, don't be small, get more rather than run out.
Right.
But with your buying of your decor and your treats and everything else, did you find it a big change up this year price-wise?
It's up a little bit.
Okay, a little.
I mean, everybody's, kind of feeling the pinch sort of thing. But I mean, we prepare for it and we know that we're going to
Yes.
get that amount of children and we want to do it.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Doesn't hurt you. Like you're
we
just
try
happy.
not, yeah. And with the contest, Veronique, that you had mentioned earlier about the Candy Depot, that's one of the prizes that if we were to win, they would do up some treat bags for us to be able, to kind of add to,
So exciting, and we only have a minute left. So, Christine, any last quick little story about Halloween? Anything funny you want to throw out there to our viewers?
Oh my goodness.
only
I have
have,
to
like-
pick just one.
Yeah.
No, it's just, the bottom line is not necessarily funny, but it's just the enjoyment that we get from the kids and the parents and thanking us. Thank you so much for
Yes.
doing this for us. Thank you so much for doing this for our community. Like that is
The reward.
Yeah, it really is. It's
love it.
absolutely amazing.
I love
yeah.
Can you tell the viewers again where your address is so that they
Yes.
can go see your hugely planned display?
Well, we are in Moncton, like we had said earlier. So anybody coming shopping for the day from
Yep.
Miramichi to Moncton or anything like that, we're on 59 Falcon Drive. We're
Okay.
in North End.
59 Falcon Road.
Yep.
North End, that's where the action is.
Yeah.
And I want to wish everyone a wonderful week ahead. Thank you to Christine Cormier, my beautiful co-host Veronique Arsenault, and for all of you tuning in today, have a blessed week. Thank you.